What would you do if you discovered that your own government had assassinated a senator's wife to cover up illegal weapons sales? And before you think that sounds like a conspiracy theory, let me tell you about the death of Dr. Amanda Walsh, wife of Senator Katherine Walsh, who died in what appeared to be a car accident in October 2021, but which evidence clearly shows was a professional assassination carried out by a government black ops team to silence the senator's investigation into illegal arms trafficking. And if you think the US government would never kill innocent civilians to protect their secrets, this case will prove that some operations are so classified and so illegal that murder becomes an acceptable solution, and the people responsible for Amanda Walsh's death continue to operate with complete impunity because they have the full protection of the intelligence community. So make sure to subscribe to Cold Case Chronicles, because we're about to expose a conspiracy that involves weapons trafficking, government assassination teams, and murder at the highest levels of power that will change everything you think you know about how far your government will go to protect its secrets. Senator Katherine Walsh had been serving in the US Senate for 8 years and was known for her work on veterans affairs and military oversight. But in early 2021, she began investigating irregularities in Department of Defense weapons contracts after receiving tips from military whistleblowers about missing weapons and unauthorized sales to foreign governments. And what Senator Walsh discovered was a massive illegal operation involving the sale of advanced American weapons to countries that were supposed to be banned from receiving such technology, including several nations that were actively fighting against American allies. And the profits from these illegal sales were being used to fund black operations that Congress had never authorized. And when Senator Walsh threatened to expose this operation, she became a target for elimination, along with anyone who might support her investigation, including her wife, Dr. Amanda Walsh, who was a respected physician and had nothing to do with politics, but whose death would send a clear message about the consequences of challenging the military-industrial complex. And if you think government agents would never target innocent family members, wait until you hear about the sophisticated assassination plot that was used to eliminate Dr. Walsh. So hit that like button, and let's dive into a case that exposes the dark side of American intelligence operations. Shows was a professional assassination carried out by a government black ops team to silence the senator's investigation into illegal arms trafficking. And if you think the US government would never kill innocent civilians to protect their secrets, this case will prove that some operations are so classified and so illegal that murder becomes an acceptable solution, and the people responsible for Amanda Walsh's death continue to operate with complete impunity because they have the full protection of the intelligence community. Senator Katherine Walsh had been serving in the US Senate for 8 years and was known for her work on veterans affairs and military oversight. But in early 2021, she began investigating irregularities in Department of Defense weapons contracts after receiving tips from military whistleblowers about missing weapons and unauthorized sales to foreign governments. And what Senator Walsh discovered was a massive illegal operation involving the sale of advanced American weapons to countries that were supposed to be banned from receiving such technology, including several nations that were actively fighting against American allies. And the profits from these illegal sales were being used to fund black operations that Congress had never authorized. And when Senator Walsh threatened to expose this operation, she became a target for elimination along with anyone who might support her investigation, including her wife, Dr. Amanda Walsh, who was a respected physician and had nothing to do with politics, but whose death would send a clear message about the consequences of challenging the military-industrial complex. And if you think government agents would never target innocent family members, wait until you hear about the sophisticated assassination plot that was used to eliminate Dr. Walsh. So hit that like button, and let's dive into a case that exposes the dark side of American intelligence operations. Dr. Amanda Walsh was driving home from her medical practice on the evening of October 22, 2021, when her car suddenly veered off the highway and crashed into a concrete barrier at high speed, killing her instantly. And the initial police investigation concluded that Dr. Walsh had fallen asleep at the wheel or suffered a medical emergency. But this explanation never made sense because Amanda was known to be an extremely careful driver who had never had an accident in 20 years of driving. And she had just left her office after a normal day of seeing patients and had spoken to her wife, Senator Walsh, just minutes before the crash to discuss dinner plans, and there were no signs of fatigue illness or impairment that would explain the sudden loss of control. And even more suspicious was the fact that the crash occurred on a straight stretch of highway with perfect visibility and no other vehicles involved. And when Senator Walsh demanded a thorough investigation, she was told that the case was closed and that pursuing conspiracy theories would only cause more pain for her family. But Senator Walsh knew her wife better than anyone and refused to accept the official explanation and hired private investigators to examine the evidence. And what they found was shocking proof that Amanda Walsh had been murdered by professional assassins using advanced technology to remotely control her vehicle. And if you're wondering why the government would kill an innocent doctor to stop a Senate investigation, wait until you hear about the billions of dollars at stake in the illegal weapons operation. So make sure you're subscribed, because this conspiracy involves war crimes and threatens national security. Private investigator Michael Torres, who had worked for the Secret Service for 12 years before starting his own firm, was hired by Senator Walsh to investigate her wife's death, and Torres immediately noticed inconsistencies in the crash scene that suggested external interference rather than driver error in examination of Amanda. His vehicle revealed evidence of sophisticated electronic devices that had been installed to allow remote control of the steering, braking, and acceleration systems, and these devices used technology that was only available to intelligence agencies and military contractors and required specialized training to install and operate. And Torres also discovered that Amanda's car had been under surveillance for weeks before her death, with unknown individuals following her daily routine and photographing her movements, and most damning of all was the discovery that Amanda's cell phone had been hacked using government-grade spyware that allowed her killers to monitor her communications and track her location in real time. And when Torres tried to trace the source of these devices and surveillance activities, he found connections to a classified Department of Defense contractor called Blackwater Solutions that specializes in covert operations and assassination technologies. And if you think this evidence would lead to arrests and justice, wait until you hear about how the government protected the killers and covered up the assassination. So smash that like button, because this cover-up involves multiple agencies and goes all the way to the Pentagon. Torres's investigation revealed that Amanda Walsh's assassination was carried out by a team of former military operatives working for Blackwater Solutions under a classified contract with the Department of Defense to eliminate threats to sensitive operations. And the team had been monitoring Senator Walsh's investigation for months and had identified her wife as a potential pressure point that could be used to stop the senator's pursuit of the weapons trafficking evidence. And the assassination was approved at the highest levels of the Pentagon by officials who believed that protecting the illegal arms operation was more important than the life of an innocent civilian, and the murder was carried out using a technique called vehicular cyber assassination, where electronic devices are used to remotely control a target's car and cause what appears to be an accidental crash. And this technology has been used by intelligence agencies for over a decade, but is rarely deployed on American soil against U.S. citizens. And Amanda Walsh's death was meant to serve as both elimination of a potential witness and a warning to Senator Walsh about the consequences of continuing her investigation. And when Senator Walsh refused to be intimidated and instead intensified her pursuit of the truth, she became the target of additional threats and surveillance that forced her to hire private security and limit her public appearances. And if you want to know how deep this conspiracy really goes, the answer involves war crimes and international weapons trafficking that threatens global security. So make sure notifications are turned on, because this story gets even more disturbing. The illegal weapons operation that Senator Walsh was investigating was not just about selling arms to banned countries, but was part of a larger scheme to destabilize regions around the world and create conflicts that would generate profits for American defense contractors. And the weapons being sold included advanced missile systems, drone technology, and cyber warfare tools that were being used to commit war crimes and human rights violations. And the profits from these sales were being used to fund black operations, including political assassinations, regime change operations, and terrorist attacks that were designed to serve American corporate interests rather than national security. And Senator Walsh had obtained evidence that American weapons sold through this illegal program had been used to massacre civilians in at least 6 different countries, and that Pentagon officials were aware of these atrocities but continued the sales. Because of the enormous profits involved, and even more horrifying, is the discovery that some of the weapons sold through this program ended up in the hands of terrorist organizations. that later used them against American targets, including military bases and diplomatic facilities. And the operation was so extensive and profitable that it had its own assassination team to eliminate anyone who threatened to expose it, including journalists, government officials, and family members of people who got too close to the truth. And Amanda Walsh was just one of dozens of people who have been murdered to protect this criminal enterprise. And if you think the government would never engage in such activities, wait until you hear about the other victims who have been silenced to protect this operation. So hit that subscribe button, and let's expose the truth together. Torres's investigation uncovered evidence that at least 30 people have been assassinated over the past 5 years to protect the illegal weapons operation, including 3 journalists who were investigating defense contractor corruption, 2 military officers who had discovered missing weapons inventories, and several family members of government officials who threatened to expose the program. And in each case, the deaths were made to look like accidents, suicides, or random crimes with sophisticated cover-up operations that involved multiple government agencies, and the assassination team responsible for these murders operates with complete legal immunity under classified executive orders that allow them to kill American citizens who are deemed threats to national security, and the team includes former Navy SEALs, CIA operatives, and military contractors who are paid millions of dollars annually to eliminate targets using methods that leave no forensic evidence. And Amanda Walsh's murder was considered a routine operation by these assassins who viewed her death as necessary collateral damage in protecting a multi-billion-dollar criminal enterprise. And the most tragic part is that Amanda had no knowledge of her husband's investigation and was killed simply because her death would cause emotional trauma that might stop Senator Walsh from pursuing the truth. And this case proves that the American government will kill innocent civilians, including doctors, teachers, and family members, to protect illegal operations that generate profits for defense contractors. And if you think this level of government criminality is shocking, wait until you hear about how the cover-up has been maintained and how many officials are complicit in these murders. So smash that like button, because this conspiracy involves hundreds of people and threatens the foundations of American democracy. When Senator Walsh tried to bring Torres's evidence to federal authorities, she discovered that the conspiracy extended throughout the government, including the FBI, CIA, and Department of Justice, and every agency she contacted either refused to investigate or actively worked to suppress the evidence and discredit her. Claims an Attorney General Robert Chen, who was supposed to investigate government corruption, was actually receiving bribes from the same defense contractors who were profiting from the illegal weapons sales. And Chen used his position to classify Torres's evidence as a threat to national security and prevent any prosecution of the assassins. And even more disturbing is the revelation that several Supreme Court justices have financial investments in the defense companies that benefit from the weapons trafficking operation and have ruled to protect these companies from legal accountability. And the conspiracy reaches so high in government that Senator Walsh was warned by multiple sources that continuing her investigation could result in her own assassination, and that there was no one in authority who could be trusted to pursue justice. And the weapons trafficking operation has become so embedded in the government that it essentially controls American foreign policy, with wars being started and prolonged to generate profits for the conspirators. And Amanda Walsh died because her wife threatened to expose this criminal enterprise, but instead of getting justice, her death has been covered up, and the killers continue to operate with government protection. And if you think this story will have a happy ending, wait until you hear about how the conspiracy has grown even more powerful since Amanda's death. So make sure you're subscribed, because the fight for justice is far from over. Today, the people who ordered Amanda Walsh's assassination continue to serve in high-ranking government positions, while the defense contractors who profit from illegal weapons sales have received billions of dollars in new government contracts. And Senator Walsh was forced to abandon her investigation after receiving credible death threats against her remaining family members, and has since retired from politics in fear for her life. And the assassination team that killed Amanda has been promoted and expanded, and now operates in multiple countries, carrying out murders to protect American corporate interests around the world. And the illegal weapons operation has grown into a global criminal enterprise that destabilizes entire regions and generates trillions of dollars in profits for a small group of defense contractors and government officials. And meanwhile, Amanda Walsh's death has been forgotten by everyone except the private investigator who risked his life to expose the truth, and the senator who lost the love of her life for trying to do the right thing. And this case proves that the American government has become a criminal organization that will murder innocent civilians to protect corporate profits, and the only way to honor Amanda's memory is to continue exposing these crimes and demanding accountability from the officials who enabled them. And if this story has opened your eyes to the reality of government assassination programs and defense contractor corruption, subscribe right now and turn on notifications, because tomorrow we're releasing an even more shocking case about a federal judge who was murdered for refusing to dismiss charges against weapons trafficking conspirators, and together we can make sure that victims like Amanda Walsh are remembered as martyrs who died because their loved ones tried to protect American democracy, and that their killers face justice even if it takes decades to expose the full extent of their crimes, because at Cold Case Chronicles, we believe that no operation is so classified that it justifies murdering innocent Americans, and we'll never stop fighting to expose government criminality and corporate corruption, no matter how powerful the people involved might be. So thank you for watching, and remember that every subscription helps us continue investigating these cases and fighting for victims of government assassination programs.